Let me get my stuff. Once again, by TK, photographer, videographer, and YouTuber, TKNorth, aka Tim Northey. How you doing, man?
Hey man, yeah, good to chat again. It's been a while.
It's been too long. We were just trying to figure it out, and it's been so long that we couldn't figure it out. So it might have even been
A couple of years.
Definitely a couple of years. It might have even been the old channel. So we're on the global Adobe Live channel now. This may not have even existed when we first started chatting. So it's definitely worth, introducing you to this audience for sure. For those that are watching live and also those that are watching on demand, TK is a photographer, videographer, and YouTuber from Sydney, Australia, which is also where I am from. But yeah, if you're watching live and you've got questions as we're going through, please don't hesitate to throw them in chat. And we're live on YouTube, we're live on Behance, and we're going to be chatting all about photography, editing, and the career of a photographer as well. I think we've got a little bit of journey stuff going on.
Yeah, I thought I'd dive into like where I kind of started, and I think it's kind of useful for anyone that's kind of starting out as well to see how things kind of can progress when you keep at it.
Yeah, absolutely. How long have you actually? You know what? I'm gonna hand it over to you because you have just very professionally just created this deck and this journey for us. I'm very excited for that. But as I do that, can you kind of introduce yourself and talk a little bit about who you are and what you do so everyone can get to know you?
Yeah, sure. I'll start with my Instagram page kind of open, which I'm photographer, videographer, YouTuber, but I've been doing it kind of full time now for, I think, coming on 6-7 years, so a little while, but didn't start in a creative field, which I'll kind of go into, but a lot of what I do is kind of street travel type photography. I do a lot of brand stuff as well and kind of share that journey and all my photography stuff over on YouTube as well. But yeah, let's jump into this one. So for me, I wanted to kind of talk about, it's kind of cliche here, learning to see, but for me, as someone who never came from a very creative background, I feel like my journey has definitely been kind of learning to build my eye and kind of see things very differently. So that's, for me, taking quite some time. It wasn't something that I just kind of naturally fell into. It took a lot longer than probably a lot of people think. Like a lot of people think you just kind of pick up those skills, but definitely for me, it took a while. So what kind of got me into photography in the first place? I was working full-time as a physiotherapist when I kind of first got into photography. I always had a camera. I've got my first camera here, the Canon 1000D, which it feels like a bit of a toy. It's kind of small and plasticky compared to what I use now, but I've kind of kept it as a memento.
That's cool. I like that.
Yeah. But for me, it really started the early days of Instagram. I kind of started going along to different Insta meets and made a few friends through that, and we used to just go out and shoot on the weekend, and that's where my kind of passion for photography all kind of started. And that's the biggest thing for me. So this was 2015, 16, back when Instagram was still square images.
Oh yeah. Oh my God. You're going to make me feel so old. Yeah.
Yeah, it's making me feel old. I'm sure there's a few younger people watching that won't even remember this.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I've been doing it for a while, but back then it was just for fun. It was purely a way to go out and explore, and went to so many different parts of just New South Wales, just on weekends, working during the week and go on a big adventure on the weekend. And that's what kind of sparked everything for me, and having those friends that were kind of interested in the same things. And that's where it kind of all began.
I'm sure this is a cheeky question, but Ichiban wants to know what t-shirt are you wearing?
It's a fake soccer jersey, so it's not an actual team.
Right. Oh, okay.
It's just an Adidas pretend.
Right. There you go. Ichiban,
Yeah,
thank you for the
Ben.
thoughtful question.
I just like the colors, so yeah.
It's cool. It makes your eyes pop. It's great. Sorry, let's keep going.
Let's keep rolling. Yeah, so that was a while ago, but early on, I think the biggest thing for me was just learning that like the more you shoot, like the more you kind of get motivated to go out and keep doing it, and that momentum, and couple that with like sharing your work online. And that's like, for me, what kind of just kept things rolling and kind of snowballs from there. So I guess that was like a few years I was doing that before anything got too serious. It was just because I kind of loved taking photos.
So this was no professional work kind of at this stage. It was just spending your spare time basically around your job.
Pretty much.
Going out and shooting.
Yeah, like
weekends.
wherever I could.
Yeah.
We'd often like go and do sunrises and sleep in the car and do all fun stuff like that just to go out and shoot. So it was a fun time. But I can remember, so this is jumping to what, 2018, and I look at this photo and I like, oh, it's overly edited, and like I'm not particularly proud of it looking back, but this made it somehow into the best photos of 2018 from the community in Canon. They kind of reshared it and it made it to this little blog post. And I remember that was like such a big thing for me back then.
Yeah.
And kind of looking back, it's kind of full circle with kind of a lot of the stuff that I do with Canon now. So, but it was about then, like 2018, when I probably started doing a few more jobs and shooting a few events, like just music gigs that I would often be going along to anyway, getting maybe $100 a night for like 6 hours of shooting.
Yeah. Wow.
And then, like eventually the more I was sharing on Instagram, I started picking up just work through that as well. I remember this Ram Trucks job was probably the first decent big job I had. And I remember feeling incredibly uncomfortable. I was doing photo and video, probably the first time properly I was doing video, and you just feel so out of your comfort zone, but
wow,
you kind of do it anyway.
And this would have been pre-Reels. So what was that video for?
So it was just for them. I don't even remember like where they ended up showing it, but I remember I had to provide 20 images and a minute video. And I remember like trying to edit a minute. I was like, oh, this feels so long. Like
it feels long.
Just because I wasn't used to like doing video. I was like, how am I going to get a full minute?
Yeah.
Like,
wow.
But yeah, and then like stuff with Adobe started to come, and that was definitely a big breakthrough back then. And that led to a lot more work with them, which was a really cool starting point as well.
Nice.
But like, as I've got here, like the biggest thing from that for me was like just saying yes to everything back then and doing things that made you feel incredibly uncomfortable, but you kind of do them anyway. And it's like you throw yourself in the deep end, but you learn so much by kind of doing that at the same time.
Mm. And that includes the video thing. Like you didn't really know how to do the video like commercially on a professional level, but you just go, yeah, okay, I'll figure that out. I'll do that. Let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, sometimes you probably wish you hadn't, but I think you do learn a lot at the same time. So yeah. That's some of the photos. This feels like a lifetime ago, but that was some of the photos with Ram Trucks.
Mm.
Some of the photos from like the early events I used to shoot as well.
Where were these events?
Just all around Sydney in like small little warehouses and.
Okay, so it wasn't a specific venue. It was lots of different places. Yeah.
Yeah, just with different groups. It's all kind of drum and bass events.
Yeah, nice.
But yeah, like this one I remember was kind of a big breakthrough with Adobe, and again it would have been like similar year, probably 2018. And this started to lead to more work with Adobe. It's just like a simple loop, a time lapse, and kind of sharing how I created that and stuff. And that led to a lot of other things with Adobe. So I kind of remember this one pretty well. It did pretty well with Adobe when they shared it on different things. And yeah.
Yeah. This was Rush.
Yeah.
Oh, man. A while ago now,
and then,
I think. Yeah. Sorry, go on.
That kind of led to a lot of travel, especially to Japan. I think I was fortunate that I was working full time, so I had money to travel. Whereas like if I was just trying to rely on breaking through in photography back then, it probably would have been a lot harder. So that's one advantage. If you are coming from that background in another job, at least you probably got some money there to fund your photography trips if you want to do that. Because I think for me, like this kind of these are all kind of early shots that I took in Japan. I think by going there and sharing a lot from Japan, it actually led to getting jobs for tourism Japan. They'd seen that I'd kind of posting stuff from there and stuff. And I think this is an important one as well. Like what you're sharing and what you're posting, it can definitely lead to work in that area. So you should always kind of have that in mind if you're wanting to get jobs or work with certain brands. Like you don't have to be posting the exact thing that you would post for the brand, but if it's something that's very similar and they can see what you're doing and it fits with that aesthetic or whatever, like you're obviously more likely to be on their radar and potentially get work as well. A bit like spec work, but kind of shooting what you're interested in and where you want work to potentially lead is always a good thing.
I think that's key for most creators, like starting out, like you really want, I know definitely when we have graphic designers or illustrators on, they want to get into a different field. It's like, I'm sick of doing flyers, but then their whole website is just the examples of how good they are at making like flyers. And it's like, you got to start doing, you got to prove that you can do the work that the brand may want done. And
and that's that like discussion of, oh, you shouldn't do free work, but like so much for early on, like you need to do that to get yourself out there, and offering free work might be a great way to start, like to get some practice and get a portfolio and stuff. So I'm definitely not against it. So that for me like kind of led to my first kind of paid international gig, and excuse the language there, but like it was such a kind of pinch me moment when I was like traveling overseas and thinking like, how am I, it wasn't a lot of money for that first one, but like, how am I getting paid to do this and getting everything paid for while I'm here? Like, I guess it's a bit of imposter syndrome, but it's also like, can I do this for a living? Like, because I was still kind of working full time then. So that was definitely a big one for me. And there's some of the shots from.
And was this Japan tourism, like flying you over to do that? Is that the client?
So it was kind of a 3 or 4 day trip around to Hoku and basically just getting kind of images for them, sharing some of it online, but also them using those images.
Cool.
So then kind of by the end of 2019, I was kind of in that stage where I was starting to get a little bit more work and I was ready. I eventually made the decision to quit my job, which like I'd wanted to do for so long, but like it was always wondering how or if I could potentially do it. So it eventually happened, and then straight after.
Yeah, I was going to say right at the end of 2019. Yeah.
And like for me, this is where like I kind of had to pivot a bit. Like I was lucky enough that I was getting my business back then just qualified for some of the grants where the government would help out some businesses and stuff. So it's pretty lucky in that sense. But I also like did other things. Like that's when I started to spend time on YouTube. I started to worked on a wedding business, which kind of goes against what we were just talking about and doing the type of work that you want to. But I was kind of just doing stuff more to survive, I guess.
Yeah, totally.
And that was, I guess, until things started to kind of open back up again. So that's just some of the weddings and stuff that I started to do a bit of. A lot of these were COVID weddings and very small and strange weddings where people couldn't dance and different things.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So as I said, like I survived, but it kind of felt like something was kind of missing. Like it wasn't what I really wanted to be doing. So it took me a long time, but I guess like moving forward to like 2022 and after, that's where I kind of really felt comfortable with what I was doing. I found more of a style, and I think through YouTube as well, I found more of a creative voice to kind of share what I was doing and what I was learning. And I think that really helped propel me forward as well. Like thinking more deeply about photography ideas and trying to teach them is, if you can teach something, you have to understand it pretty well. So I think for me, that only accelerated things. And that's why not only for parts of my business and making income, but YouTube's just been so great on a like personal level to get better and improve my photography skills as well.
Yeah. Do you find that often you're trying to figure out something to teach, and then you end up kind of thinking, well, if I'm we're going to teach this, I better just make sure that the process that I'm about to teach is right. And then you kind of go through and then you really start rethinking about your process and it starts impacting your work.
Yeah, for sure. You definitely explore things a lot more deeply, and perhaps in a way you might get to eventually, but probably sooner if you're kind of trying to dive in and explain it or explore that idea in a little bit more detail.
Yeah, cool.
And for me, that like went back to kind of leaning into street photography and studying like a lot of the greats that had been there, done that. People like Alex Webb here and Ernst Haas and Sol Leiter, like these are all big inspirations for me. And they're things that I didn't study when I got into photography early on. Like I think so many of us these days, our inspirations just come from Instagram or various social media platforms. We don't tend to go back, explore like photo books and some of the greats with like timeless photography that's timeless for a reason. Like, and I think it's such a valuable thing that not a lot of people do, that I definitely recommend like spending some time and going back and like studying what makes a great photo and why these photos are still like studied and talked about these days. So that was hugely important to me, but I came to it pretty late in my journey, I would say.
That's interesting. Like, was there like a need from you to go back? Like, was there any particular kind of trigger, or you think it just kind of sort of naturally happened as your career progressed? Or was there kind of a aha moment where you thought, you know what, I'm going to go back to the basics, or I want to go back and get offline a little bit more? Anything like that?
Not necessarily. I think over time and like diving into like the street photography genre was one thing, but again, like exploring that through YouTube made me probably go back to like some of the greats that have been around and doing it for so long and what made those photos so great.
Yeah.
Again, like there's so many things, people shooting on basic film cameras on kind of expired film, and like just the results and what they were like able to capture is just incredible. So there's just so many lessons there from going back.
Yeah, cool.
And that kind of, I guess I've already touched on this, but like just through YouTube, exploring those ideas deeper, which has kind of led to what I shoot a lot of now. I guess it's kind of a mixture of street and travel photography.
Yeah. Wow. They're both such amazing photos, those two.
Yeah. So I started shooting a lot of things, I guess, a little bit more outside the box from what I normally would, which I guess I started shooting a lot of kind of landscape and just epic travel locations and that kind of thing. But you're kind of relying on conditions and a lot of other things. You're not always just relying on kind of your skill and being able to find something a little bit different or unique, which is what kind of has always drawn me to street photography. It's kind of something that you're just finding something that's already there and happening in front of you, but you're trying to see it in kind of maybe a different or unique way that not many people would if they were just walking or passing by.
Yeah. That's cool.
It's kind of like a game in a way, like finding a challenge as you're kind of walking through a scene.
And it must be reacting really quick, right? Like kind of that might not necessarily be the thing you thought you were going to shoot at that particular moment, but then the guy's going past on a motorbike, you see the reflection, you're like, okay, I've got to try to nail that, like focal length and everything really, really quick.
And that's why it has that kind of gameplay to it, because you kind of like, you don't know what's coming, you're reacting, and you never know what you're going to get when you go out shooting. Like you're looking for certain things, but you might go out and get nothing. You might go out and get heaps. Like every day is different.
Yeah. Yeah. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. But always trying to, I guess, mix that kind of travel influence into it as well.
Where was that previous photo taken? Because
this
bridge looks like San Fran, but then the ceiling tiles look almost like the Opera House.
Yeah. So this is in Lisbon. A lot of people think, same bridge, Golden Gate Bridge kind of vibe.
Wow. Cool.
And these are taken up in Sapporo in Hokkaido in Japan.
Awesome. So cool.
But yeah, I guess like kind of just simple moments often, but things that kind of catch my eye is what I'm kind of really drawn to these days is like street and travel.
That one, sorry, can we just go back to that one? There's
Yeah.
something like crazy about this. Like almost looks like fake, right? Like it almost looks like it's been drawn. Like it's almost Studio
Yeah.
Ghibli with the composition is almost too perfect. Like
Yeah, and
the
there's
yellows
so many
popping
scenes.
and the greens popping and just the way
Yeah.
like the cliche van is sitting there with you know, Mount Fuji in the back. I assume it's Mount Fuji, might not be, like in
Yeah,
the
it is,
background.
yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of pretty wild photo. Like it's amazing.
Yeah, there's so many beautiful spots in Japan like this where it just feels like an anime or
Yeah.
but I guess these are the things I'm kind of looking out for when I shoot as well. Like color is a big one for me. Like a lot of my edits are quite saturated, but in specific colors, like you can see the yellows and stuff in this are really popping. But as a whole, like the blues still stand out, but they're not kind of super heavy. So it is a big part of what I'm looking for as well, is definitely color.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, I love that one.
But yeah, street photography type moments as well. Some more Fuji shots. They're kind of just simple, kind of everyday frames, but just kind of keeping an eye out for those things that kind of take my eye. Some motion. You see so many strange things on the back of motorbikes in Vietnam, and this was one of them.
Wow. What is it's like a tree, like a citrus tree of some kind or something?
Yeah, what are they called? I forget. Oh, I should know. Especially this time of year, they're everywhere.
Right.
For different celebrations. More just examples of different kind of framings through street photography. But yeah, that's about it from like the deck. I've got a few more examples here, but we can chat through a few other things.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, I mean, what's your kit? You don't have to get into like super like heavy details, but what are you carrying around kind of typically? Maybe in Sydney, and then also when you're traveling, because it might be a bit different.
Yeah, I try and keep it, I guess, pretty similar regardless. The one thing I've learnt over the years is like how much, especially for this style of photography, how less is more. Like the less gear you have, it just frees you up so much. I think when I started, I was definitely of the approach you need to have everything. Oh, just in case, like, what if I want to get this? Like, it's almost like comes from like that FOMO. You don't want to miss out on a certain shot but I've kind of over the years learnt that having less, you tend to, like, especially shooting on prime lenses a lot, you tend to move around and create different compositions a lot more when you're kind of stuck on one lens. So
Right.
I actually shoot a lot just on one prime lens, a lot at 50mm, but I've often got with me, so I always shoot on Canon R5 now, R5 Mark II, which I've been shooting on for ages. So it means I carry one camera for photo and video, which is a big thing as well. Like,
Yeah.
used to carry multiple for both, and you just end up carrying way too much stuff. So simplifying it and often using a few prime lenses, a 50mm. I've usually got like a wider, usually a 24, and then sometimes like an 85 or a 70 to 200 for the longer stuff.
Yeah, cool. And we were talking a little bit about, like, just to continue on like the photography thing, maybe we could chat a little bit about the community aspect of it. And anyone that's seen the last couple of live streams knows that every time we have a photographer on, it's always like all the other photographers in the chat. Like, there's such a good community, like, I think, with photographers. And now that you do some of the stuff with the circle with Canon, you know, what's your kind of, why do you think that there's such a strong community of kind of mentorship and, I guess, like, helping each other out that might exist in photography that, I mean, I can tell you that it doesn't exist in a lot of other, not in the same sense, in other fields. So what do you think it is about photography that makes it really collaborative?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think I touched on it. Like, for me early on, it was like just making those friends that were interested in photography. It's such a motivator to get out and shoot when you're doing it with other people, because you're not only doing it for the fun of like taking photos, you're connecting, you're seeing friends, like you're doing fun things together and getting out and exploring. So coming from that background where it started, where like you're not actually working, you're just going out to hang out and shoot. So like that's where it all started for me. So it's kind of carried over from that. And I think a lot of photographers are probably in the same boat. Especially in what I do, it doesn't rely on connecting with models or organizing like a whole team behind you. It can be pretty lonely if you're just going out on your own all the time. So having friends that are doing the same thing, I think, is incredibly important.
Yeah.
And like it pushes you as well. Like if they're going out, you want to go out. You've got someone to bounce ideas off. I think for me, it's been like incredibly important from those early days, even up until to these days.
Yeah. Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, I mean, I'm always jealous. It's like it's not my field. So I'm like, the photographers are all awesome. That's cool. We'll kind of chat about the circle a little bit. So I know this is a fairly new thing. So we mentioned it in the last couple of streams that we've done with some of you guys. Can you tell us a little bit about the circle and like what your involvement is?
Yeah, so I'm one of the mentors, and the circle is basically just the community, both like online, but we've got a lot of events as well, and it's, I guess, touches on a lot of that. For me, it's about just giving people a space to connect with other creatives, photographers, whatever it is, but also hopefully learn new skills as well. So I think Moses touched on it a bit. I heard in his, but like we've got the Discord there where people can go on, share work, ask questions, all of that. And we're sharing a few topics and things like that as well. But just as important are the in-person events where you can actually go and talk to people in real life, which I think is hugely important as well.
I agree 100%, for sure. And we got a question from chat as well. Willis Newman, thanks for the question, asking, where is your next trip, TK?
I think it will be back to Japan, later in the year.
Why Japan? Just because it's amazing, beautiful, and people are lovely?
Yeah, a few reasons for me. Like I want to go to Korea this time as well, and I've been there briefly, but for me, Japan, like I know a lot of people there as well, and it's just a place where I know I'm going to get out and shoot almost every day. I'm going to be motivated to do that. So for me, it's a way to really push my own kind of photography as well, because I know I'm going to be inspired and motivated to get out and do that kind of like every day I'm there.
Yeah. Cool. So when we're chatting about the circle as well, we should mention that there's also a collaboration happening with Adobe and Canon that we can share if you're watching this on demand or live. It's just down in the description, the direct link to it. And then if you are interested in buying anything from Canon at the moment, then you can also get 1 year off or your Creative Cloud subscription, which is pretty cool. So particularly if you're starting out and you're about to buy a lens, definitely don't sleep on that. And even if you are currently subscribed to, I was about to say Adobe Live, Creative Cloud, then you can still get it as well. So it's not just for new people, it's for everyone, which I think is pretty cool. But there's some links and stuff in there. But something I've been asking some of the photographers have been coming on is, and you were talking about style a little bit before and kind of your career journey, is kind of that first time getting noticed, like maybe outside the kind of competition thing, but like the first time being noticed by a brand, as in, oh, we want to collaborate with TK, or we like the work that we're seeing. Could you work on this with us? What was the kind of the key time that happened, and what's it kind of, or do you have any advice for people like being noticed by kind of brands and collaborating with them?
I think the biggest one I probably touched on already, which is like, if you want to get noticed by a certain brand, like you need to be creating something that you think's going to connect. Hopefully it's within your, like, connects with you as well, but you need to be posting or sharing something that obviously connects with their brand as well and what they're kind of looking for in creators as well. So always with that in mind, like when you're going out shooting, you might even like fake an ad or whatever it is, like something that you're creating in a very similar kind of vein to that, I think is really important. But just being consistent as well. Like so many people ask me about, like, similar to what you said with the flyers, like they're asking, oh, I want to be seen, I want to start working with brands. And then you click into their profile and it's on private, or they haven't shared any images, and you're like, well, like you need to start somewhere, like you need to start sharing. That's going to be like the first point, which is like, I know it's hard for a lot of people, but that's, I think, really the key as well. Like just getting that momentum that I kind of touched on a lot as well. Like the more you're sharing things, going out shooting, you'll kind of develop a style over that time as well, and maybe figure out how you can connect with different brands over that time.
Yeah, awesome. I love that. Here's a lighter question from Benjamin Lee. What's your favorite food in Japan?
It's pretty hard to pick one favorite, but like I love ramen, I love curry. Ben would like me to say cocoa curry. That's probably one of his favorites. It's definitely up there for me too. But good sushi, anything really, like that's the best thing about Japan.
Yeah. My answer is chicken katsu, especially a chicken katsu curry. You can't go wrong.
Definitely.
That's awesome. Well, with the remaining time we have, maybe we could jump into a bit of an edit as well. Like I'm really interested to see kind of under the hood, I think. Oh, and you've got my favorite one there. How good's that?
Yeah, that was lucky.
There we go. That was lucky. Sorry, just before we do jump in, we've got 2 questions actually, TK. Let's do that.
Yeah, sure.
So we'll do it. They just popped in. Benjamin Lee says correct answer, TK. Demis says, what do you do that takes your mind off photography?
I think Demis probably knows the answer to this. I run a lot, so doing Sydney Marathon in a few weeks.
Oh wow!
Spend a lot of time just running. Yeah.
Are you ever running and you like think you see a photo opportunity, like damn, I wish I had my camera on me right now?
Sometimes when you're in like a new city, like because I usually run in the morning, and that's also when I like to shoot as well. So you might run out and you see the light just starting to hit a building or something, and you're like, oh, should I run back, get my camera?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's more so when I'm somewhere I haven't been before, that's for sure.
Did you just do the city to surf?
No, I done it most years, but I didn't do it this year.
Yeah. I did it for the first time last year and it almost killed me. I'm not a runner. That's awesome. Okay, let's get into the edit. So, are you a Lightroom Classic user as well?
Yes, I am.
Yeah.
So, I guess for me the biggest reason is like my catalog is so huge, and I'm pretty bad at keeping it clean. So I've got like thousands and thousands of photos in it from over the years, which would be like a crazy amount of cloud storage.
Yeah. Cool.
So. But there's still some advantages to Classic as well, but I'm using like mobile a lot for anything I shoot on my phone or any quick edits, things like that you want to just post stories or whatever. It still gets a lot of use for me as well.
Cool.
So this one, if we go back to the original, you can see like definitely color is a big one for me. You can kind of see how much I've kind of brought out the color in this one. Also light, and also that kind of, I guess that kind of dreamy, softer look as well, which I kind of try to achieve in a lot of my photography as well. I'm just going to move our little bar here because it was over my settings. But so this one, I'll kind of dive through things that I guess I'm looking out for and were important to me when I was editing. And the biggest one, which I touched on first, is the color. So I'm kind of looking for, in this one, I was definitely trying to make the yellows kind of pop out, and that will always start in camera calibration for me. You can turn it off and it's just, you can see just that slight shift in both the blues to aqua a little bit more and those yellows slightly more orange. And usually I do this first because like changes here, as you can see, will make huge differences to your image. So I like to start with those bigger changes before kind of going in and fine tuning them a little bit. If you're doing them at the end, you don't want to be making those kind of huge drastic changes. So I'd like to start with the probably bigger changes first and then work down to those finer adjustments towards the end.
Makes sense. That's cool.
The other thing that's really important for me with working with color, which probably I don't see too many people chatting about a lot, is luminance. And as you can see here, like it reset all these, just how different it kind of looks. And that's often what I'll play around with using my selector. I'll kind of pick that kind of orangey yellows and just bring them up or bring them down and just see how it kind of changes the photo. And you can see how like where it draws attention to in the photo kind of dramatically changes. So often we think about color just as the color itself, but how that light's hitting the color is really important as well. And that's going to play a big part in drawing your eye into different colors. And I'll often do like a similar thing with my blues as well, and just play around with that luminance as well. Yeah. And sometimes bringing it down, not always like lifting it up. And then once I've kind of got my colors perfected, which I'll kind of play around with the hue as well, but a lot of this comes from kind of calibration, some finer adjustments in the color grading tab as well. If I turn that off, you can kind of see that I've kind of warmed it up a little bit. Sorry, it's a bit cooler now, like that I've edited. And it was a little bit more kind of magenta across it as well. So now, just with those subtle adjustments more towards blue in each of them, like shadows, midtones, and highlights, it gives it that kind of warmer feel. I tend to do this because I'm often bringing out like the warmer tones, like those yellows, and making them pop in other ways. So I want that contrast, and that's why the image might have a kind of cooler tone overall, but those certain colors kind of pop in, which gives it that kind of color contrast as well.
Cool.
The other thing which I always spend heaps of time on is masking. So I'll just go through and kind of show how each of these masks. So if I turn all of them off, when I'm looking at this image, like the first thing I want to do is maybe draw a little bit more attention to this truck here.
Right.
Bring up this light that's already here. They've got this kind of slither of light coming across the road. So it's usually always enhancing something that's already there rather than just changing it up too much. And then probably just adding a little bit of detail back into Mount Fuji as well. And this overall kind of direction of light. So the first one was just lifting the truck up a little bit, which just came through exposure, whites, and a little bit texture, clarity, dehaze as well.
Right.
And then this little patch of light at the top here, turn that on and off.
And is it a really wide, is it like a really super big clipping mask because it's a really subtle gradient? Is that why? Like coming out? Oh, okay. Yeah. There we go.
Quite small.
Right. It was small.
Yeah,
For a second, it was like over the whole thing. But
that's the other one, which I'll get to in a sec.
Okay, cool.
For some reason, it was
that was confusing me.
I hovered over it. Yeah.
I got excited.
So this one's quite small. It's just wherever you see light, sometimes I want to just bring that out a little bit more. And that's kind of what I've done with that one there. And then I do have this larger one, which you saw as well, which is kind of just that kind of overall where the direction of light's coming from, to just enhance that a little bit. Kind of draws your eye in a little bit more as well. And then lastly, this one, subtle, but it just adds in a little bit of texture and detail back into Mount Fuji as well.
Yeah, you said detail. So what slider are you playing with there? I'm just curious.
So for me, like what adds in that kind of, I guess, you can see as I turn it off, it looks like detail, but it just comes through. Usually I'll use a lot of texture. You can see that kind of adds it back in, and a little bit of clarity as well.
Yeah.
Dehaze is probably a little bit more destructive as you bring it up, so I don't tend to go too heavy on that. But if we go back to the overall image, like I'm always going for that softer look. So the overall image often has like a negative clarity, even a little bit of haze. So you can see if I bring dehaze back to 0, I often bring that down a little bit. So it's almost creating that little bit of haze. And then I'll find those individual areas where I want to add back in a bit more of that kind of more contrast or detail that way as well.
Right. Okay. So overall, you're kind of adding in a little bit of like haze, but then you're using you're when you're selecting the subject, you might bring it back a little bit so that the focus is on those areas. Am I picking up what you're putting down?
You can see like from these adjustments, the overall look, it's kind of a little softer, hazier from those. Definitely the clarity and dehaze adjustments, but then anywhere like the truck or in this one, just a little bit on Mount Fuji where I want to add in that little bit of detail, I'll add it kind of back in that way. So it still has that kind of soft, dreamy kind of feel overall, but there's specific areas where you kind of adding back in a little bit more.
Yeah, cool. That's awesome.
So the other thing, if we had time, I don't know how we're going for time.
We've got about 4 or 5 minutes actually, but yeah, we got time for another one if you got something else to show.
I was quickly going to show how I cut up YouTube videos as well.
Oh yeah, cool.
So
let's definitely check that out.
More into Premiere Pro this time.
Yeah, nice.
So this is actually one of the videos created for Adobe and Canon, which was a recent kind of YouTube video on Canon's channel. And basically the structure here, you can see the timeline. How I kind of edit, this is all the talking to camera parts.
Yeah.
And then this is all the extra B-roll or extra clips that are kind of screen recordings for this one as well, added on top. Cool. So the first thing I do when I cut up one of these videos like this is all one big clip.
Yep.
But I'll start cutting it up, and often I'll start cutting it up from the end. And this is purely because often the best takes, if you do a couple, are at the back. And I just find if I start editing in reverse,
wow,
it's actually far quicker, because you'll find, okay, that take was really good, and then just go back to where the next part of the video starts, and you're kind of doing it backwards, and it actually saves me so much time.
Wow, that's cool. I've never seen that before. And then do you just delete like the other ones? You're like, you know what, that was the take. You know, the third one,
because
the fourth one was the
usually
take.
you'll find, like, you might say, if you say it 2 or 3 times, it's the last one that obviously you end up keeping. So
yeah, cool.
Rather than playing back through all of those until you get to the good one, it definitely, like, I find it's been a huge time saver.
That's awesome. I like that. I'm gonna have to give that a go.
Yeah, especially for longer form stuff like this, makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
And then the next step, like, I'll literally go through and color code each section, which just makes it easier for breaking up the video, knowing where to add in kind of your headings and different things as well. So that makes a big difference. I'll also, as I'm cutting it, you can see how some of these are blacked out. Anything where I know I'm going to add B-roll over the top, I will just like enable it, turn it off, on or off, depending whether I'm showing that footage or not. So then I know exactly, once I've gone through and do that, I know exactly where to add. I need to add footage over the top as well.
Wait, you know what I mean? No, I don't. I'm trying to figure it out. So the original clip, you know that you're going to put something over the top of that. And so you cut where you want it to be over, and then you hide it so it's not being shown, or you're somehow indicating to yourself, hey, this is where B-roll is going to go.
Yeah, so you can see here, this one, how it's kind of blacked out, but there's something over the top of it anyway.
Yeah.
So here I would have just like basically enabled or disabled it, like it'll show it or not show it. Like if you,
if you just disable something, it just won't show it.
You can see,
even though it's still there.
Yeah, so yeah, it's still on the timeline, but it's kind of blacked out.
Oh, that's genius.
So now I know. Now I know when I'm editing, okay, there's a black bit here. That's where my B-roll is meant to go. And I do this all at the start. So once I add everything in, it can all kind of be done at once.
That's awesome.
Knowing where I need to put it.
Oh, I'm stealing that, dude, for sure. That's a really good tip. That's a really good tip. I love that kind of workflow kind of stuff. And then you're not like cutting and dumping bits of footage potentially accidentally. And if you change your mind, it's still there. And you can do the cuts as you're going, which feels more natural when you're trying to do an edit. That's awesome.
Yeah. A lot of it comes back to scripting as well. So those parts that I end up like blacking out and knowing where I'm going to add the B-roll is where I've already identified that in my script. So I might not be talking to the camera. I'm just talking into the microphone. So I like it's very easy to identify those parts as well.
That's cool. Yeah, I got to try the backwards edit and and that one as well. But yeah, that one I'm definitely stealing. That's crazy good. Love that.
Yeah, so you can see anywhere pretty much with clips added over the top. You can see how it's kind of blacked out.
Yeah, that's cool.
Including the intro there, which I knew was going to be all kind of B-roll.
Yeah.
So literally from there, just go and add in all the B-roll, any titles, anything like that. And then lastly, down the bottom, you can see all the sounds. I've got music track and then sound effects dropped in below that as well. And that's kind of my process for nutting out a YouTube video.
Cool. That's awesome.
And like so much of this as well, like the biggest tip I've kind of picked up recently is having a template. So I have like a saved project template, which has all my frequently used sounds. It has any graphics, titles that I regularly use in YouTube videos. So all the stuff that I'm reusing, it has my outro that I use on my YouTube videos all the time.
Right.
In a template. So literally when I start a new YouTube video, open up the template, make sure I save it straight away as whatever the new video is.
Yeah.
And then import my footage. So literally I've got everything else other than the footage specific for that video in the template, ready to go. It just saves so much time. And I think doing YouTube for a while, I've just picked up those little kind of things that save you a lot of time.
And you just, do you actually save it as a template, or is it saved as just a file and you call it template and then you just kind of duplicate it and then?
Yeah, it's just saved as a template, but that's why as soon as I open up that project,
you have to save
rename it straight away.
Yeah.
So then that original version that's the template just stays there.
That's cool.
Kind of forever.
And everything sits on your timeline, like it's already there and you're basically editing what's in the middle. Is that right?
It's more that I've just got like my different...
they're all there in your bin.
Yeah, I've got different bins already created. So I'll have all my audio file, different effects. And then all I'll need to do is go into like my main footage and just drop in anything extra I'm adding for that specific video.
Yeah.
So it's not so much on the timeline, but it's everything's in the project there.
Right
any
there.
like different sound effects and anything else I might want to add in.
That's so cool. I love it. This is turning into Teach Flynn how to use Premiere Pro better live stream, but yeah, it's really cool. I love seeing that, and we could spend a lot more time on it. But unfortunately, we are actually out of time, and I don't want to get cut off. TK, we got to do it again sometime very soon. Definitely not leave years between our chats.
Yeah, for sure.
But where can people find you? Where's the best place? YouTube and Instagram?
Yeah, they're the two platforms I'm sharing on as regularly as possible.
Awesome. Well, yeah, I mean,
And-
like, yeah, sorry, go on.
Yeah, sorry, and the Canon Discord as well for the circle. So
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
we're
for,
sharing
like-
a lot of stuff in there as well.
That sounds so cool. So definitely go and check that out. There's links to all this stuff below, whether you're watching live or on demand. Thank you everybody for joining us today and hanging out with TK. It's been awesome. But that is it. TK, we'll see you next time on Adobe Live. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks so much, Lynn. Catch ya.
Bye, everyone.